Okay, on this Viking Professional now, we are going to continue working on this unit and cleaning it up a bit. First, we're going to pull out the drawer. So we're going to clean this up. We're going to get all this rust off here, repaint this, and also same thing in here. That back cover, you can see it's been really scratched up. It's rusty. The tracks are rusty, and the bottom is all scratched up. So we're going to try to clean it up a little bit, and it does work properly. It's just a little bit of an eyesore. Okay, so let's get working. Okay, I'm going to take off this fan shroud here, remove the rear cover. And that will expose the evaporator coil, the evaporator fan motor, the defrost heater, and the defrost thermostat, and we'll see what else is in there. You never know. Some people replace parts and you don't know what they put in there. Here's your light system up here. And of course I'm going to remove the ice maker. Disconnect this wire harness like that. Remove your ice maker. And some more screws up here. This, by the way, is a sensor. This thing's really scratched up a lot, man. Okay, also on this, we're going to just take that one screw out, and then you lift it up. There's a little tab here. You can disconnect this sensor, and then we want to remove this harness, so we have to get another tool. Let me get that. Okay, move this out of the way. Get in here. See, you have to push these tabs in. I'm using this pick, this awl. You see, there's one on each side. There. Okay. And your fill tube stays in. Goes forward. Wow. A bit of a mess. Okay. We're going to sand that down and repaint it. Oh, there's a lot of crap in here. Okay, let me just go over this quickly for those of you who don't understand how this machine works. So look, something's wrong here. There's a piece missing. Here's your limit switch. Defrost termination switch, they call this. It's not the factory switch. Somebody put something else in there. That's all right. As long as it works. It seems to be hooked up. I don't know what this is from. Here's your defrost heater right here. And it's basically, here's some more wires. I'm assuming, looking at the color, probably was the old limit switch. Let me see. Maybe this is a factory switch. I've never seen one of these before. Could be. Got the right colors. Anyway, that's here, neither here or there. That's it for the. Here's your fan. This is for the freezer. That's all. That's all that's here. Your ducts that go up to your refrigerator section, right there, circulates air. And your fan. This is a one of those Panasonic fan motors. I believe it's a brushless motor. And this is a your harness to take that out. I don't really need to remove any of the refrigeration parts here. However, I do want to mention that one of the biggest problems that I see with this refrigerator is these drains get clogged. And there used to be a heater, a piece of metal, a bimetal, that would attach to this heater and go down into the drain and keep that drain from clogging up. So we're going to tackle that. And we're going to probably put an electric heater in there to prevent that from happening again. And I'll show you that when we get around to that. So right now, the basic thing we're going to do here is clean it up. And that may take a while. So let's get started. Okay, so we got this little makeshift bench set up here. I'm going to start off with 120 grit sandpaper and clean up loose paint and rust, and then we'll finish it off with something a little finer, maybe 320. And okay. Okay, how about plug this thing in? Okay, so we got this all this loose paint and rust off this panel. We did both sides. I had to put it in the sandblaster to get the paint out of the corners and everything, the chips, the rust. But it looks pretty good for the moment. So I'm going to put some metal prep on here, which will help the paint adhere to the metal by etching it, and then we'll give it a coat of paint, and when this is done we'll start working on the inside on the floor, and then we're going to remove these the basket. I'm going to put this in the sandblaster, get all that rust off there and off the tracks. Try to clean up the freezer just a little bit. Like I said before, it works. The refrigerator works fine, but it just needs some cosmetic work. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, so while we're waiting for that metal prep to do its thing on that metal panel there, I removed the basket for the freezer, and there's just 4 screws that screw into the frame. So we'll put this in the sandblaster and blast off all these rust spots, and then we will remove these these frame right here. You got 4 bolts on each side. We'll take this off, put it in the sandblaster, clean this up. We're going to remove the door gasket. Also, we're going to clean this up, soak it in hot water, and then put it back on, because there's nothing wrong with it. It's just dirty. So this is a push-on door seal. Very easy to put on. No screws, no hardware. All right, so the next thing we'll do is we'll remove the frame. Okay, so we took the 4 bolts off of each side of the frame for the freezer, and we're just going to remove this like that, and then we're going to put the screws back in so we don't lose them, and then we'll take the door out and wash it down along with the panel that we're going to paint, and get that, and also we'll soak the door gasket and get that prepared. Okay, while we're at it, we'll remove these wheels. They're just going to get in the way, because you know this paint's got to come off here. This is a star wrench. Believe it or not, these are the same wheels that Sub-Zero uses on their refrigerators. Okay, that's off. It'll make it easier for us to get all that paint off. Okay, these, the rest of the hardware here. Okay. So this panel's ready to be painted. I'm going to paint one side first, let it dry, then I'll do the other side. I wiped it down with a tack cloth to get any dust off it. I washed it down with water, I let it dry. It's got this metal prep on there that helps the paint to stick. So let's see how it comes out. Let me put on a mask. This paint is potent. All right. Whew. All right, it's looking pretty good. This is what I'm using. Gloss white, direct to metal, pour 15. It's great stuff. I'm almost out of here. I got to go get another can. We'll let this dry and then we'll do the opposite side. Okay, let's do a little cleaning here with our steam machine. Okay, so here's the freezer door. We cleaned it all up and we washed the door seal, soaked it in hot water, steamed out all these channels right here. It's looking pretty good. So now to put this door seal on, this is an easy job. It's called a low pull, meaning there's no screws in here. You get this little part of the seal right here, this square part, that fits into that groove. So you want to just push it in and get it started. And that's basically all you need to do, all the way around. See, it's on. So push it into the groove The door seal is nice and soft. The vinyl's really hasn't really shown any signs of wear or hardness. So you may have to pull it a little bit to get it in there, but the hardest part is the corners. See how it keeps slipping out? You got to play with it. That's it. That's how you put the door seal back on. It's very easy. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, so continuing on with this project, I started sanding down the floor of the freezer to get all these scratches out. I still have a little bit more to do. I also removed the left track for the lower drawer frame, and I have to take off the right one also, but I just want to paint that area there. These have to be stripped and repainted to get rid of that rust. I've already done the frame. Here's the frame for the freezer drawer and the basket. As you can see, I stripped it down almost completely. I'm just going to put it in the sandblaster right now just to get out these tiny little pieces I missed. But Viking wants $600 for this just frame. It's kind of ridiculous in a way, so I can get it powder coated for a lot less than that. So, okay, so we're going to move on. I also had to order more paint. I ran out of paint, so now we're waiting for that to come in. And in the meantime, we'll continue working on this and the freezer floor. Okay, so here's the frame. It's completely stripped. I just took it out of the blast cabinet to do some final touch-ups, and I'm going to coat it. I'm going to put this metal prep on there, which will remove any additional rust that's on there, and apply a base onto it for the paint. So, and the paint is on its way. I had to reorder more. So, what I'll do is I'll let this sit for a while, and then we'll wash it. We'll wash it off with the hose, and then let it dry, air dry it. And then when the paint comes in, we're either going to paint it ourselves or we're going to send it out and get it powder coated. I'm just waiting to see. I need some additional parts. I need these plastic rails, all kind of beat up. I hope I can get these. That's what the lower drawer sits on. Okay, let's flip this around. Get the other side. All right, I think that's going to do it. So now I'll let that sit for a while, and then we'll wash it down and then dry it. Okay, here's the back panel, completely painted, looking pretty good. However, I haven't done the back yet because I ran out of paint. So, and I just want to paint it just so it doesn't rust. So I got some new paint. Just came in, so I'm going to shake up this can. We're going to paint the back, and then we'll just proceed with this project. Okay, so here are the pieces for the freezer basket and frame. And then these are the side tracks. So everything's been stripped down, all the paint's been removed, and also I sandblasted and treated with metal prep. So now we're going to send these out to the local powder coating service and then get these done in a gloss white, and then we are going to continue to work on the freezer. Now I'll remove these baffles over here. These actually not a baffle, but it's a support for the rear cover, and then loosen up the evaporator coil and kind of bend it up so we can get underneath there and clean that all out, and then get this floor painted in the side and get that done while it's being powder coated. Okay, so we will be back. Okay, so I removed this bracket that holds the heater loop just to move it out of the way. I wanted to show you the drain. Vikings have always given me trouble with these drains, and you can see there's a bunch of crap in there. Look at that. And that's why these drains get clogged. Don't even know what all that stuff is. However, we do have a heater that we can put in here to prevent this thing from icing up, but it might make sense to also put a P-trap on here, just so that the water doesn't, the air doesn't get sucked in when the compressor is on, when the fan's on, and sucking air and blowing air around in there. It's going to pull it right out of this hot area, because the heater loop, of course, puts off a lot of heat. So I do have a heater that we can put in here, but also maybe we can try to make a P-trap. Okay, so what we've done here is we've removed these baffles here, these supports for the back panel. And they're also channels, because you can see here where the return air comes back down into the, pulls the air up into the refrigerator. I'm assuming here that the fan blows the air up this way, comes out this way. So I'll move the evaporator out of the way so I can get in there and clean this up and paint it. And this right here, this cowl rod right here, that's the defrost heater. And the defrost heater wires are right here. So just plug. All you need to do to check the defrost heater, all you need to do is take these two wires, disconnect them, and check for continuity. And if you have continuity, most likely the heater's okay. Then you have your defrost terminator switch, which is right here. That's wired in series with the defrost heater, so when this evaporator gets too hot, that bimetal thermostat will open and shut the heater off so it doesn't stay into a defrost too long. And I've seen refrigerators that got stuck in defrost and cooked the food. Alright, so everything has its purpose. So now that we got this all ready, we'll finish cleaning this all up and get it ready so we can paint. We have to paint this area right here where there was some rust, and clean everything up and wait for the other parts to come back from the powder coating. And in the interim, we'll get this floor painted. Okay, that's it for now. Okay, so we started to reassemble the freezer compartment while we're waiting for the parts to be powder coated. And what I did was I installed a Sub-Zero drain heater. These are from the 200, 300 series evaporator coils, like the 361s and the 211s, and they had this little drain heater that went through the drain tube. I'll make a little connection here and tie it in to the defrost heater parallel, so it goes down through the drain. And I also made a P-trap using flexible hose. We also use these on Sub-Zeros, and very simple. It's flexible. We just got this little bracket in there, and so the water will come down and it'll dam up here so not to get sucking any air. And you can see the heater is in here. So I'm going to put a clamp around this nipple here, just in case somebody tries to poke something in there and clear out the drain or sometime in the future. At least it'll stay in there. Alright, so that's it. Then we'll put the heater loop back on and do some more work, and see you in the next segment. Okay, here is the back panel, which has been painted front and back. It's all cleaned up, no more rust. That's ready to go. And here is the freezer drawer. And we picked up the powder coated material, this bracket, and these two tracks. As you can see, they did a really good job on it. Beautiful job, actually. So we're going to put this back on, and then we're going to put on the tracks, put the wheels back on. Just to let you know, I think I already said this, that Viking wanted $550 just for that basket bracket there. So, and these side tracks weren't cheap either. So, I mean, they did a beautiful job, just like brand new. So we saved ourselves a fortune. All this powder coating cost me $100. So there you go. So we'll put this back together and you can follow along. Okay. Now, originally we were going to use a Sub-Zero drain heater in here. But I took it out because I was concerned that maybe the braided wire would restrict the flow of water draining out of that hole, because we put a P-trap in there. So I've got this Subco SH502. It's a 15 watt. We're going to hook it in parallel to the defrost heater. And the wires are right here. Okay. So we're going to run this and we're going to stick it down in there and leave it in there. And every time the defrost heater comes on, it will warm up that drain and hopefully prevent ice from forming in there. All right, so let's get this hooked up. Okay, so we snake this heater down behind the coil. You can see it right here. It's going down into the drain. And here's one of your wires for your defrost heater, and a little bit of overspray on here, but that's not going to affect anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut these wires and splice in these wires like this, and then plug them back in, and that should be sufficient. Okay, so let me see if I can get the light situated. Okay, it's going to need a little. Okay. Okay, we need a little bit more than that out of there. That's better. Okay. I got this, this, and this. Alrighty, now we're going to splice that into here. Okay, that's one. Let's see, this is going to go in like this. Okay, and here's the other one right here. You got to be careful with these fins here. They're like razor blades. Let me get a better wire cutter. Okay. So I'm going to take this. Not much room to work here, so yeah. Got to give my arm a little rest here. So I have a torn rotator cuff that is weak. Let me get a pair of pliers. Just want to make sure that's wound up really tight. Okay, we got one. Right, now we take this and we plug this into here. Okay, so now let's get some cable ties and put a cable tie, hold all these wires out of the way. Okay, this is for the ice maker, this is for the thermistor. We got these limit switches right there. That defrost terminator switch is right there. Okay, these are all tight. These are hooked up. All right. Make sure you don't want any wires around the cow rod heater here because they burn. As a matter of fact, I'll get one more cable tie and put it on there. All right, so now this is pretty much done. I'm going to put the back cover on, then we're going to put our tracks on. I'll put our basket together, an ice maker in there, and we'll get this thing done. Okay, let's start working on this cover here. Okay, now we want to get this ice maker wire harness here in. There. That's in. And then you want to fish these wires here for the thermistor. And then you also have to get the fill tube hose. Snake that through here like that. Okay, that's that. 10 screws. Okay, so now we're going to reinstall these rails on the track like we did over here. This is for the upper basket, this is for the lower basket. And am I missing something here? Yes, right there. Okay. This goes like this. There's a left and a right to this. You can see I marked it, L, left. And these screws. The upper rail, of course, is for the upper basket. As you can see there, I also put the fan guard on. Okay, so let's take these 5 bolts here. All right. Now I just need to put the thermistor, hook this up. And this goes like this. And I have to go get a screw. It goes there on top. And we'll get the ice maker. Okay, ice maker. That goes. Okay, that's on. This goes in here like that. Put a cable tie around this harness so it doesn't come off. That's the way the factory had it. All right, we'll get the cover for the ice maker, trim that. We'll peel off this tape, we'll put some silicone in here, and we'll finish putting the basket together. All right, now I'm going to put a bead of silicone in here to dress it up a little bit. Cover for the ice maker is down there, and the only thing we have left to do is put the basket together. Okay, let's see. You just have to put some wet your finger to get that rest of that silicone off. This is more for aesthetics, but it does help prevent water from getting behind that molding. Plus, it looks nicer. All right, my friends. I'm very happy with the way this thing came out so far. Considering what it looked like before. All right, let's look at the basket, the lower drawer ready. Okay, so we've remounted the bracket to the door, or the drawer. And we also picked up one of these freezer basket repair kits, because the other plastic rails were shot. I mean, they were real, not just dirty, they were actually broken. So I think this whole kit cost about $100. So okay, let me work this out and we'll get back. Okay, so we got the new rails on. We put the basket back on, and I think that completes the freezer section. I have some more parts here. Of course, the grill, the upper basket just slides in, and I'll clean up this ice bucket and touch up some other things, and we should be done. So let's put the drawer back in. Okay, drawer's in. Nice. Okay, so we just now have to put the upper basket in and the ice bucket. Then we'll give it a wash over and put the grill back on, and we'll be done. Okay, let's get to town here. Okay, so we got this baby all cleaned up. It looks so much better than it did before. I just have to finish cleaning up the shelves and the drawers. These parts are cleaned, and then we'll just put it back together and then turn it on and just double check it and make sure everything's working well. Okay, we shall be back. Okay, here's another problem that we have here with this door. This pieces broke off. These little plastic pieces broke off, and they fit inside this channel here like that, and then this door, this lid, slips into there like that, and then these metal clips hold it into place so that the lid doesn't come off. So I don't want to have to go out and buy a whole new shelf just for that, because it's going to be a fortune. I'm going to try to find a way to either take this is a 1/8 of an inch in diameter. I have a 1/8 welding rod here. This is aluminum, and maybe I can epoxy that in there. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet, and we'll figure that out. But that's one of the last things that we have to do, because the refrigerator itself is just about ready. It's everything. I just have to put that shelf in there with that lid, and then we'll be done. All right, so let's start working on that, and we'll get back to you, and we'll see how we make out. Okay, so we were not successful with these little pins because they broke off. So we have to come up with another solution. And I want to show you something here. Here's that lid right here. The shelf and the lid. Look how much it is. $719, or I'm saving $239. It's $959.64. Give me a break. $964 for that plastic shelf. Crazy. Anyway, we'll have to find another way to do this. I'm not sure how, because I'm not spending $800 to replace this shelf. I'm rebuilding this refrigerator for someone. It's basically a freebie. And if she wants to spend that much on a new shelf, so be it. You can still use the fridge. You don't need to use the lid. We'll see. I'm thinking maybe putting a couple of cable ties, drill some holes and put some cable ties in here to hold that in. All right, so let's see what we can do. I'm coming back to you. Okay, so here's how we settled this problem with this lid. I drilled some 1/8, maybe 3/16 inch holes through both parts and used these cable ties to hold it in place. And so, you know, it works. And that's all we wanted to do to work. If the new owner, whoever gets this refrigerator, wants to get a new shelf, a new cover, and spend $800, that's okay with me. But the point is, I got it to work. It was very inexpensive to do. The epoxy did not hold, so that's where we're at. Okay, a couple of more things before we button up this. We'll be right back. Okay, so if you need to get behind this panel to do any work behind here, first you have to take the 2 screws off the top to loosen up this panel, and then it's got a couple of supports underneath here that hold that bottom part intact. Just be careful because it's plastic and it could break. There, take that down, and then you take these 1/4 inch nuts off, bolts, to get rid of these ground wires. Disconnect your ribbon cable. Here's your ribbon cable right here, and it goes in. You lift this up and you push this in, and this, when you push it down, it locks it into place. Okay? And if you want, you can take this off by just taking off the 2 wires for the switch here to get it out of the way. So now, to take off the control board, you need to get a 1/4 inch socket and take out 1, 2, 3, and there's another one back here on the corner, just to get in there and loosen that up a little bit, and then we can take this whole control board out of here. And be careful, these metal parts are really sharp, like razor blades, and you could get a really serious cut. Make sure the plug's out. Now when I plugged this unit in, it blew the fuse. It blew the circuit breaker. And it was working when I got this refrigerator. So now we have to determine why. We have to determine why it's blowing the fuse. So this is your control board. There's your compressor and your condenser fan motors behind there. And what I'm going to do here is just let this hang down. Now here's your inverter box. Okay? What we're going to have to do is plug it back in and see, we'll disconnect the inverter box. Okay? And see if it still blows the fuse, and then we'll just keep doing the process of elimination. But just wanted to give you a shot at seeing what this looks like. Most of the time it's this box that goes bad, but if that compressor is shorted, then we'll have to change the whole compressor. condenser fan motor is easy enough to change. You take out these bottom 1/4 inch bolts and this whole thing slides right out. All right, so let's get to work on finding out why this is shorted out. Okay, just want to show you something. This is a continuity check. Just want to show you, here's the plug for the refrigerator, right? We're getting a reading. Look, we're getting a reading between the positive and negative and the ground. Even the ground of the metal of the refrigerator. So we definitely have a short, something hot. One of the hot wires is touching the ground somewhere. And my guess is that it's probably in the freezer, because that's where I was working. And it's possible when I put it back together I pinched the wire. But here's an electric drill here on my desk, on my workbench here. And I'm going to check this one. See? No reading. You should not get a reading between these two terminals. So we know we have a direct short, and now we're going to have to try to find it. Okay, little progress report here. I disconnected the wires on this micro switch, door switch right here. You can actually see a little burn mark on there. So I disconnected, and that's a black wire, that's a hot wire. I disconnected those wires, and now when I take a reading between ground I'm not getting anything. See? So there's something wrong. That's the ground. There's something wrong with that switch. Because look, I'm not getting any reading between the hot wire and the cabinet anymore. So I'm going to assume that we need a new micro switch. It must be grounded some way. Okay. Progress report. Refrigerator's working. Lights are on. Freezer's working. I can't tell you what happened. I can't tell you why it was shorted out. So I put everything back together and it was okay. So maybe there was a piece of metal touching that black hot wire, and when I put it back together I cleared up the problem, because as soon as I did that and plugged it in, the lights came on and the motor started up. So that's it. We're done with this project. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.